All eyes are on the US and China this week, with a talk of long-awaited trade deal potentially being announced within days. But just how big could it be, and what would it mean for soybean, canola, and grain markets? I'm Johanna Bota, and joining me today to break down what's changed and how markets are reacting is Bertrand Oesterle, VP of Clearing and Execution Sales at StoneX. Welcome back, Bert. How are you?
Morning, I'm good, thank you.
So we talked a lot last week about the back and forth in regards to the US-China trade deal. And now we're actually hearing that a deal may be announced starting tomorrow, Thursday, anytime from Thursday to Saturday. So what has changed since last week?
So there's been a big change in the rhetoric last weekend, especially with the Trump administration and in particular Besant saying that there is now a framework for a deal, so a framework for Xi and Trump to meet and just sign something that has already been prepared for them. So it is a big change. And also this week Trump has been touring Asia and he's been putting some deals under his belt. So we heard of Japan, South Korea, Thailand, for example. So it feels like he's preparing a lot of deals to build up to a big finale with China and a firework. So everyone is expecting some sort of a deal. Now, Trump has said that he's optimistic, but that it will be a long meeting. And that long meeting element means that we may have some information as soon as tomorrow, or it may be all the way to Saturday. Now, what is important for us in grains and oilseeds is how much China in that deal, if any, will agree to buy US soybean. So when we listen to Besant of last weekend, we hear that he said China is likely to buy substantial amounts of soybean, and it could be for multi-season purchases that would be potentially signed for. Now, the market has reacted very differently. Some people think that we are about to get a tens of billion dollar worth of US soybean purchases by China. So that's the expectation from some. And others have mentioned, and it's been mentioned quite a few times over the past few days, just 10 million tons. So we don't know. And it's all going to be about whether or not it's a big commitment, a big headline that allows the rally from Monday to yesterday to carry on. That rally is already starting to fade a little bit this morning. Or is it going to be a disappointment with a small amount? Why have people mentioned 10 million tons? Simply because they see 10 million tons as the figure that China may require to bridge the gap from now up to the moment where the Brazilian new crop is going to get to market, which is by the latest in February. So for the moment, we're uncertain. We'll have to wait and see for the next few days, and we don't know if it's as soon as tomorrow or a bit later.
China did buy some overnight. Can you tell me why they might have done that?
Yes, so we heard that China bought some 180,000 tons of US soybean. It might just be one of the trading houses saying we're going to be buying, we might as well start early. So it's a kind of indication that something's going to happen. 180,000 tons is not much, but it is a good sign that that trade house is anticipating that there's a deal coming as well, and it's from China. So it feels like something's going to happen.
Okay, let's move on to the US and Canada now, because President Trump has just added 10% tariffs on top of the existing rates that they pay over a TV ad. Can you tell us if this is having any impact on grains and oilseeds?
So indirectly, in a way, yes. So to put in the context, you're right. The Canadians used an old video of Ronald Reagan, and Trump had a usual tantrum, just bursting out into a feast of words saying, that's it, discussions are terminated, trade deal terminated. So very simply, Prime Minister Carney from Canada came back with his own announcement saying, I'm very calm and I'll be back to the discussion when you feel ready. So that's the context. Now, behind that context, and that's much more important for us in grains and oilseeds, Premier Carney is talking to Asia. He is also talking to China. So while the US and Canada are still on a trade spat, Canada is looking at reducing the dependency on the US by opening up to Asia and to China in particular. It becomes really important in terms of canola. If China and Canada get a deal, then China could come back to buying Canadian canola. Okay. It would provide support to the ICE canola market, and by spillover support, it would support the rapeseed market. And we could have potentially a US-China deal on soybean, followed by potentially in the next few weeks a US-Canada deal, a China-Canada deal. And in that case, we could have a double set of bullish elements for the oilseed complex. So we'll have to stay tuned to how US-China develop and then how Canada-China develops.
The suspense is killing me. Okay, one more thing before we let you go. What does this all mean for corn and wheat?
So corn and wheat have gained on Monday and Tuesday on spillover support from soybean. Soybean gained about 50 cents. Now that rally is slightly losing momentum so far this morning, and it got people thinking. So when we look at corn gained a little bit, and that's despite some good progress in harvesting in the US. The crop is 75% harvested or so. And it's also despite some talk in the US of some farmers selling. And then when we look at wheat, wheat has rallied quite significantly compared to corn, for example, on the back of the soybean spillover support. And wheat had some news of its own. There's been talk in the market of China looking for wheat quotes, potentially from the EU or from Argentina. So that is bringing the attention to potentially some more demand in the market. But beyond that, a lot of people are dubious about the rally in wheat, saying that post potential deal over the next few days between US and China, if wheat starts to be out of breath, people will look to sell that rally.
Okay, why is that? What have you heard?
So there's more or less three elements that people are mentioning. First of all, when we talk to consumers, and in particular to consumers in the northern parts of Africa, they've been telling us we're being hit by offers from all over the place. So they've had offers from France, from Germany, the Baltics, Bulgaria, Romania, Ukraine, Russia, but also Argentina. So there's plenty of offers around, which means that the physical feels heavy. Also, we've seen late last week, we had an Algerian tender, 600,000 tons. The origin is said to have been Ukrainian, Bulgarian, Romanian. And we still hear that Morocco is looking at prices from Argentina. So that is somehow difficult for European exporters. Okay. Also, if we look at progress in terms of crop, if I take just the US or Ukraine, the US is something like 85% planted. Ukraine is something like also 85 to 82% planted. It's going well, it's progressing well. Yeah. Then the last thing is Russia. We've had one more estimate that was absolutely huge from TASS this week for the Russian oil crop, 93.5 million tons. So again, it's a very big figure. And the other bit that came in the market, Russia sent an envoy to the US, and that envoy came back from the US saying that there is potentially a diplomatic solution for the US, Ukraine, and Russia to have an agreement on the end of the conflict.
Got it. Well, thank you, Bert. I will have to be glued to Truth Social, and then we'll report here on StoneX. So thank you to our viewers. For more financial content, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.